Tell us about yourself.
Oh, my name is Peter Kingori, and I am a liver transplant recipient.
Okay, tell us about your journey with liver disease or how you got a liver transplant.
So I was first diagnosed with a liver disease in 2011. I had gone for a small surgery to get to remove my gallbladder, and the doctor at the time did tests and they took a biopsy of my liver, and she found out that I had a liver, like there was a problem with my liver. So she put me on a certain medicine and said I just need to take it for the rest of my life and I'll be okay. And I didn't think much of it after that, just continued taking the medicine. Then towards the end of 2015 and then beginning of 2016, my symptoms started becoming worse. We went to another doctor, and after he did his tests, he told us that I had a liver disease, and it was pretty serious. And the only solution at the time was the only solution is to have a liver transplant. So went back home. I did my research on Google and found out that the solution is to have a liver transplant. And my mom contacted a friend of hers who told her about going to India. And yeah, so we planned on going to India for a second opinion. And we went there in June 2016 for a second opinion, and the doctors confirmed that yes, I needed a liver transplant.
So, describe that moment when the doctor tells you you need a liver transplant.
For me at the time, I was sick, and whatever solution you were presented with, I would just agree to it. And if that was the solution, I just agreed and just needed to be told what do we need to do, what are the requirements, and in terms of getting a donor and where we go to get it done, getting a hospital. I just wanted to get it done so that I feel better.
So, how did you feel the moment you were told you need a transplant?
I was relieved that there was a solution, but at the same time, I think I was really sick, so I didn't. I didn't think too much about like how it feels and what it means. It was just what mattered is that we have a solution, and we've been told what is required, and now we just have to find a way to go to India, get the money, and find a donor, and go and just have the transplant, and I'll feel better, and that's all that mattered.
Could you describe the liver transplant a bit more in detail? You said that the donor, gives part of their liver and the recipient gets some. Could you please go through that more and, enlighten us?
Okay, so once you do the tests and the doctors confirm that you need the transplant, so they'll consider your weight and your age, and then that will help them determine what percentage of the donor's liver to cut out. So for me, that ended up being 65. My donor gave up 65% of her liver, and she remained with 35%. But after a while, after the transplant, after about 2 months, both livers have grown back to full size and functionality.
Yeah. So how did you decide on who your donor would be?
I was very lucky because when we went back home, after going to India for a second opinion, we came back home, told our family what we had found out, and my younger sister immediately just said that she'd be the one to donate. And so it wasn't a long discussion. I didn't have to worry about that. Neither did my mom. So it was straightforward, and I think it was a very good outcome for us because it wasn't complicated and it didn't take long. I just found my donor immediately.
And what are some myths and misconceptions about organ donation?
So for the myths, I really didn't know, and even at the time, no one mentioned it to us, whether family or friends. No one mentioned about whether about any myths being there. I found out later through a friend of mine that people don't generally like donating their organs because they believe that when they pass away, they have to be buried with their whole body and organs intact. But I guess luckily for me, we didn't have that. Never came up, so I was able to go through the process smoothly without having to think about it and having to discuss that with anyone. Yeah.
What words of advice would you have for someone who is living with liver disease currently, and yeah, what would you tell them?
That it will definitely become better after the transplant. In as much as it might seem like it's complicated or it's a long journey, but once you get through it, you'll feel better. Your life will become better. You'll be able to go back to a normal life as much as possible, and you'll adapt. You'll have to take medicines and there are certain aspects of your lifestyle that will need to change, but overall, you're able to adjust and just move on with your life. And it's much better than being sick anyway. Yes.